for being back. If you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's get to our conversation for today. A U.S. federal judge has ruled that the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, can lawfully refuse to release any files on Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, stating there's no proof the agency ever gathered intelligence on him. However, in a decision delivered on April 8, 2025, Judge Beryl Howell of the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. upheld the CIA's Glomar response, a legal stance allowing the agency to neither confirm nor deny the existence of records in response to Freedom of Information Act requests. The case, which was filed by U.S. transparency advocate Aaron Greenspan in collaboration with Nigerian journalist David Hundeyin, seeking access to the documents related to Tinubu's past, including his alleged ties to narcotics trafficking in the 1990s. Judge Howell said the plaintiffs failed to show that the CIA had ever acknowledged holding any records on Tinubu. As a result, she ruled that the agency should be dismissed from the case. However, the judge ordered the FBI and the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, to continue searching the archives for any remaining non-exempt records related to Tinubu that could be in the public interest. Both agencies had previously released documents in 2023 and 2024 showing that Tinubu was investigated in connection with drug trafficking in the early 90s, an investigation that led to the forfeiture of $460,000 in a Chicago court in 1993. That case, though decades old, became a major point of controversy during Nigeria's 2023 presidential election, with critics questioning Tinubu's fitness for the office. Tinubu, of course, has consistently denied any wrongdoing. Judge Howell noted that while the FBI and the DEA were initially hesitant, they eventually complied with the FOIA requirements. I still have with me Barrister Evans Ofeli. Thank you so very much, Barrister, for being here.
Well.
So let's, of course, get digging. Unfortunately, someone's past, I never knew that someone's past would continuously haunt such a person. Of course, if it's not resolved in the matter, it should be. Now, speaking from, if we do a comparison, how the U.S. court, goes about bringing up or digging up past, and what we have here in Nigeria, do you think it is ever possible that we could, in the future, see a trace of any sort of involvement of our president in his past, and how that would affect him in the future?
Yeah, that he was investigated in the early 90s was not in doubt, because it was shown before the election and all that. But that this particular one is saying that the plaintiff could not prove that the CIA ever had any intelligence gathering on him. And as such, the FBI and others can continue their search. But the court have looked into the matter and have seen that there was no time the CIA had that intelligence. Okay. Well, the allegations and counter allegations have been there all the while, that allegedly the president was involved in drug trafficking and use or the peddling of narcotics and the rest of that. And the matter is unresolved. It's unresolved because those pushing to get out the truth of the matter have not been able to get it through the legal system. Okay? They're not going to get it. The scandals before the elections with the Chicago courts and so many revelations that came with it, even when the president asked that his record should not be released to affect his reputation and the rest of that, so many of those cases. But the court itself is saying there was no time anything like that was done by the CIA about him. No records, no intelligence of anything and all that. But they should continue searching. So it means it's not the end of the case. We have not seen the end of this yet. Okay? But this is also to say that it is very good to keep your hands clean and pure, because I mean, I remember when Dimeji Bankole was accused of not doing the youth service. Was it Dimeji Bankole or who? Either Dimeji Bankole or one person, one of the politicians that was accused for not doing the NYSC. And what saved him was that there was a picture they took during their 3 weeks in-house that they took, and that was on the cover of that was standard, and that was what saved the day. Okay, so the president can as well let the public see exculpatory evidence, things that will exculpate him from this whole scandal, because as long as he's the president, that scandal will continue to, you know. Now, when he was investigated in the early 90s, why did the court made an order for him to forfeit an amount of money?
Yeah, which means there's something
Yeah,
that
it was
is
his
yet to be undiscovered. Yes.
It was his involvement, but was not a direct involvement.
So does that make him not complicit?
He was complicit for the fine of that amount. What I read it at that time, it was not a direct case of him being caught with drugs.
Okay. But he was involved in the loot.
He was involved by extension,
which now makes him,
which made him to forfeit that as fine.
Yes, forfeiting it, does that expunge
He
him
was not
from the act?
He was not convicted.
But how can someone be made to forfeit
You
a
can
fund
be
and
punished.
not being
You
convicted?
can be punished for a crime without being convicted. If, for example, you saw something and you didn't talk, and the law says that if you see and fails to, or if you provide a resting place, or you provide like harboring, for example, the offense of harboring, if you harbor a criminal, the offense of the act committed is not equal to the offense of the person who harbored. I don't know if I get what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yes. Or just look at this law in Lagos State, for example, that talk about if you are privy to a man abusing a woman, abusing him sexually or whatsoever, you are privy to it, you are an enabler if you don't talk.
Yes.
But that's not to say they can punish you, but that's not to say they will convict you. Okay.
All right.
So I don't know the level of involvement that led to the forfeiture, because is only the conclusion we're presented with, that he was not tried and convicted, but he had to forfeit some amount.
Now, if someone enters a plea bargain, for example, or I do not know how the United States, go about it when they ask, okay, you can snitch on someone, we will let you off the hook, but we'll hold on to the person who is guilty of it.
Prosecution witness.
Exactly. So does that make the person who, of course, has accepted to work with the police non-guilty? Totally.
He will not be convicted. Not like he's not guilty, but he will not be convicted, because he's used as prosecution witness to get at the principal offender. Okay, so he's not going to be convicted, even if he's guilty. But he's used, to get to justice, especially when his lack of involvement and cooperation may mislead the court. So the prosecution witness is used to arrive at justice, and in that case, they will leave him to go off the hook.
Now, okay. Now let's assume that President Bola Tinubu in the 90s was a prosecution witness, like you did say. What does our Constitution say to that particular matter?
It was not tried here.
So that
the offense was not committed here, and the trial was not here. The trial was away, outside the shores of Nigeria.
So that leaves him. That is okay.
He was not convicted. If he were convicted, okay, if he were convicted and he served a term of punishment and all that, he cannot even contest election here. because the law says that if you have been convicted in any court, not just Nigeria, anywhere, you understand, you cannot vote or be voted for. If you're an ex-convict, you cannot vote or be voted for unless there's a pardon on you, a state pardon that will wipe that off. So that's what Goodluck Jonathan did for Alemesia. Okay, that's what Buhari did for.
Ibori, who Ibori is he wiped clean?
No, Ibori is still an ex-convict. Buhari did it for Ojus Okalo and is it Joshua Dare?
Okay, yes.
Joshua Dare.
Yes.
No, Joshua Dare is back to Senate.
Yes, he is.
And Ojus Okalo is back to Senate. So it couldn't have been possible if that was not done. Even though that of Ojus Okalo was later upturned because the court said they should go and start de novo. Because when the judgment was delivered, it was delivered by a justice that had been elevated from the Federal High Court to the Court of Appeal. And he came down from there to deliver the judgment, which made it wrong. Okay, but the two of them were pardoned. Okay, in which case they can reintegrate, they can come back. Okay, but that of Ibori is still there standing, and there's some other persons who have been convicted. If Glomar comes out, he's going to join that list of those who have been. They will not be waiting for when they will get a president that they can approach, who will wipe it out, so that they can have their political life restored. But for now, you can't. Someone Ibori cannot even vote. You understand? So that's how it is. But for Tinubu's own, there was no evidence that he was convicted.
Okay.
Had it been the United States, they're able to give clear fact on this issue. I don't know why they've delayed this for so long. Now it happened in the 90s. It's not too far away.
Yes.
That they cannot find document to allow this case to rest.
But do you think the Donald Trump that we have today, of course, who said he is going to unleash every confidential document, starting from Jeff Kennedy and every other thing, all the things that have happened, do you think that the scare is there? That it's possible that some of those things with President Donald Trump, it's possible that Nigeria might see.
But it's the court that will release it now. Does Trump have the document? Does he have the document? The document is not in White House now. It's with the institution that handled the matter. So it's the court that will still get the document out as to what transpired then and what happened and all that. It's the court that will do that.
All right. So while we, of course, wait for the court to do that, if the document or whatever it is they hope to find out is there, let's take a look at the perception. Even if they at the end don't get to find anything, the perception is still there. That legitimacy of innocence is very key. Which President Bola Tinubu desperately needs, especially if it could be etched in the minds of Nigerians. How do you think he can better play this card, especially going to 2027?
He needs to deliver. If he can deliver on governance, he would have whittled down the bad blood and the suspicion and the lack of trust that people, if he can, it will whittle it down a little. You understand? Because he has this rope on his neck that people don't see him as someone who should be a president, given his antecedents. And if you ask me, I think so too. People don't see, he's not viewed from any angle as a person of integrity. Especially what happened during the election too. You know, he's not viewed from any angle as a person of integrity. So part of the trust deficit he suffers is the general formation of his brand, which is not on the side of transparency and purity. So his brand is not, people are not very comfortable with him, okay, as a person. He has done so much, he has so much with his past. He has so much, whether those things were true or not. It's a different thing. Not everybody has been indicted of, Jonathan was the president, Buhari was the president. Where they mentioned drugs was not mentioned among any of the things they've done in the past.
Obasanjo, even while he was with the military, had done so much, none
Yes.
was brought to.
Yeah, none was attributed to that. So his own, even the American court came out to say that yes, he had to forfeit some amount of money related to. So, but what is the extent of his involvement? You understand? What is the extent of his involvement? I know the United States too don't want to say much because of the embarrassment that comes with it. I know that international politics have a dimension that will wow you. International politics, especially when something is at stake or when there is something in it for the country that you want to handle the exposure. Just because you want the president to fall. If the president falling will affect them, they will not release anything. That should be an angle we should be thinking about.
Okay, so while we think about that, because it's very important, you actually brought a point here that I think that we can, if possible, digress, because it's very important. The influence of the United States to who becomes a president in Nigeria. I would love to, remember, back in the days when it was said that before Muhammad Buhari came into power, there was a little bit of discussion with Obama and his support for Buhari against Goodluck and all. What exactly is that diplomatic interest that the United States has?
The United States and Nigeria have a long-standing business relationship. A long one. Like Nigeria, America, they have a lot of bilaterals, multilateral agreements on so many things, including oil, crude, a lot of things, including arms and ammunition, purchase, and the rest of that. So it's very strong business. Nigeria is a strong business ally. So that is why you see Trump talking about tariff. He knows what that will mean to America. Even Americans talk about Nigeria a lot. I've seen America talk about the wealth of Nigeria. Most times it's about the wealth of the country. There's a country so rich and blessed. So they know that Nigeria is not a country you can walk over. The US need Nigeria. Forget about what Trump said, they don't need you, we don't need this country, we don't need that country. That's him, his own prejudice. But for the country as an entity, Nigeria is a strong ally. Whatever they want to do in Africa, Nigeria plays a very powerful role. And you have Nigerians who also work for them as agents. You understand? So there's so much vested interest here at the Americans. They are so much with us. So it's not something that one person can come and trivialize or fritter away. No. They have that. That is why, look at it, any time we're going to have elections, even our elections, Americans donate so much to it. They have the highest number of delegates that monitor our elections and write reports back. When the president he goes to the US and they review the relationship between the two countries. It's reviewed.
So why was it soured during the days of Goodluck and Jonathan? Why do you think the United States weren't open to it?
It was soured when Obama called Goodluck Jonathan to liberalize same-sex marriage, to allow it. Because so many persons who had that issue and they couldn't practice it here were going to the US to practice it. And the US too, they were funding it. The Democrats were funding it because of this craze for liberty and liberalization of the human condition. So, but Trump does not believe in it. He didn't. The LGBTQ, they had a swell time during the
Muhammad Buhari?
No. the last president of the United States, the president before
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, yeah.
Yes, but
they had a swell time.
Yes, because you did say good luck, Bele Jonathan was criticized because of his view for the LGBTQ.
Yes, and it was
but Muhammad Buhari coming into power, was there more than enough liberalization of the same thing?
No, before Muhammad Buhari came into power, the law has been passed already in 2015. The law has been passed, not even 2015, I think 2013 or so. The law to ban.
Okay, so it was because Goodluck Jonathan was involved in allowing the law to be.
Yeah, it's the one that signed it.
Oh, okay.
It's the one that signed it now. It was actually a legislative bill. It was not even an executive bill. But whilst it was going on there, when it got to third reading, Obama knew it was going to pass Parliament. So he intercepted it by speaking to the president to veto it. Because if Goodluck Jonathan hadn't signed, it can't become law. It will just be hovering around like the PIA that took how many years before. But once it passed, it got to him. He quickly signed it. He had signed everything, and it has become news before Boko Haram heightened their operations and we didn't have arms. So he had to mobilize down to get arms. They shut the door against us. They now had to go and get refurbished arms to fight insurgency. That was why when Buhari came in, Buhari did not consult Parliament before he went to buy the Tucano jets. And by that time, Trump had started his first term.
Yes.
He released it immediately. Trump didn't even consider whether Buhari had a clearance. The only problem they had the first time they muted it was that the persons you are going to use this against, you have to declare them as terrorists first, which is the bandit and all that. Then he came back, did that declaration, went back, and he collected money. And so you can have it. But if it were Obama that was there, we will not get those Tucano jets because of our previous sins, and he keep saying that. So the whole thing is international politics have its own dimension. What is right in your municipal territory might not be right in the international sphere because of vested interests. You understand? America will tell you now, America will preach to you now that extrajudicial killing is wrong. That any country that engages in it is breaking the law. When this guy was killed, this thing that led to the Black
Lives Matters.
Yes, when he was killed extrajudicially, Americans sanctioned the policeman, and he's in jail now.
Yes, still in jail. Yeah.
Because he applied extrajudicial means. Meanwhile, America as a country applied extrajudicial means to kill Osama bin Laden and the other one, the other terrorist.
Yes.
So international politics, it has this dimension. There are times when they will abide by democracy, but when it gets to the extreme, maybe when it gets to terrorism and all that, they start to apply extrajudicial means to eliminate, and all that. So it's not very straight. It's not very straight. So I'm watching to see exactly what game they are playing with this Tinubu's record, or whether truly he never committed the offense, or whether he was involved, but his involvement was insignificant, and such that fine will suffice. So until we get there, the court have said they should keep searching.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, well, of course, the presidency had said that none of that existed. They actually called it nonsense. That none of that would ever be in the future have any fruition, to it. But of course, David Hundeyin had promised that he will never, stop until he digs into that and ensure that whatever he wants or he desires, comes to pass. But let's take a look at 2027. Atiku Abubakar has equally talked on that particular matter again. with the coalition now, gearing up, and the fear from APC that lots of their members are becoming, moving to the opposition, especially the latest of them, Ali Ndume, whom Daniel Bwala clearly said that his soul is with the coalition. It's just the body that's still resting with the APC. Do you see a sudden shift of interest come 2027?
From APC to the PDP?
No, not really APC, for possibly an ousting of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. As much as we do not want to believe it will be possible, do you see any slight?
No, there are plots all over the place not to allow him come back. He didn't perform now. He didn't perform. He has failed already. Because this is 20 months and, right?
Yes.
What is he going to do again? From next year's campaign. From next year's campaign for the next election. Nobody is talking governance next year. It's campaign for the next election. So what you cannot do in the first 2 years, forget about it. You can't do it again. You see those earlier decisions he took. If he had gotten it right, by now it would have stabilized. He didn't get them right. So what you cannot do now, from next year is a campaign for the next election. So people are really, really coming together to make sure that, just that they've not gotten a formidable block where you can have maybe like 4 political parties fused into one. Because there's no way a PDP or a Labour Party will wrestle power with APC. Because what you call APC, there was a fusion of many political parties. And that was how they were able to challenge. You must apply that same strategy. At least for the beginning, leveler. You need to level that before you can move. Even okay, look at the result. P2B got 6 million, right?
Yes.
Atiku got 8
points.
Then Tinubu himself. If you put Obi's Labour Party votes with Atiku's own, even with the perceived rigging and the perceived compromise of INEC, you could see that the two political parties would have
edged them out.
Yes. If they had fused into one, or they have something they can. Even with the corruption, vote buying and everything, the votes of those two still counted against one. So it could be possible that he's edged out. And that's the dream of every Nigerian. Nobody believes in this government. The ones that are deceiving themselves that believe in the government, when they speak out in the day, in the night they go to cry. Just like the young man that the wife died. You know, these are the remnants of the installation of this government. The consequences of their actions is what exactly is going on.
It's playing out. Well, let's just continue to hope and believe that things, of course, will get better for us in this country. As much as we wish the president well, of course, our guest had said it would have been a home run for him if he had started on a good slate. But of course, here we are. Let's just continue to see. Of course, right here on Enterprise Television, we promise to give you update on this particular matter, especially with respect to the case with the United States, the FBI, the CIA, and our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's just about the time we have for today. I'd love to say thank you to you for being part of it and making the picture complete. Please do well to visit us, and you can read more on all that we have discussed when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.